Good morning, lovelies, and welcome to this very special video. My name's Alya and I'm so glad you stopped by. So today is really exciting. I'm reviewing a really special product today, the foundation and concealers by Savvy Minerals, made of course by the beautiful Young Living. I have been waiting for such a long time to get these. I'm not sure if I have the right colors. I'm not sure about anything yet, but I was really excited to try because, of course, as I've spoken about before, this is one of the cleanest companies going, and the ingredients are really exciting. It's still very much a foundation, still very much a concealer in terms of how they act, but let's just see how they look on. So please do stick around to see how it all goes. Well, the other thing I'll do is I'll wear it for the whole entire day. It's only 8 o'clock at the moment, so I'll be wearing it for at least, 16 hours before I have to wash it off. So I'll make sure to just record my final thoughts before the end of the day. So this is going to be really exciting. So this concealer, you get quite a lot. They are a little bit pricey. I have to admit, anything that Young Living do is really pricey, but you get what you pay for. So this is 5ml, this one, so it's pretty hefty, get quite a lot. And then you've got this beautiful packaging, this matte glass, really nice weighted bottle, 30ml in this one. Now I'm a little bit nervous about the colors because I just went on what a friend of mine has. We have very similar skin tones, but she lives in Queensland, so she's a lot more tan than I am these days, and I'm a bit nervous it's going to be very yellow. I'm going to use a foundation brush, like a kabuki brush, to apply today. Normally I would use a sponge or a combination, and I may still blend with a sponge, but we'll see. Okay, of course, before we do anything at all, we must moisturize. So we're just going to go in with a nice layer of moisturizer here. It's a little hint, I always use like the end of a brush or something to get my moisturizer. I don't usually dip my fingers in to the actual container because that could contaminate it and make it last a little less well, especially if this is a mixture that I make myself. So it's always good just to keep it a little bit more sterile, considering there's no preservatives in there. Okay, and of course, again, another very important step. I don't show this very often these days because I just feel like I showed it so much in the early days, and that is primer. This is a beautiful mixture of essential oils. This is not, your drying alcoholic primer that you get out there. It's just going to nourish the skin, but also allow it to accept any kind of makeup better. It works fantastically for my eyeshadows and for my mineral powders, so we must do it. So the other step I would normally do is sunscreen, but I've already done that. That went on first before the other two. So you definitely want to have some really beautiful SPF 50, especially if you have pigmentation or some sort of sensitivity to the skin. And there we go, now we're ready. So I'm just going to put one decent pump on this brush. Oh, there you go, very liquidy, but also not too watery, sort of runny, but quite pigmented. Look at that, lovely. All right, let's go in. Now I always like to start with the areas I'm going to need the most help with and take it from there. So T-zone. The color's actually perfect. I was so nervous because my skin's a bit of a yellowy base. Well, the foundations that suit me have a yellowy base, I should say. It's always a bit scary that the foundation's going to come out really yellow and oompa-loompa-ish, and yeah. This is actually really perfect. Sarah, you're a legend wherever you are if you're watching this. My beautiful friend Sarah Yelanaza from Queensland, the Holistic Mama on Instagram. She's amazing. She knows so much about everything. She knows all there is to know about the natural world, or the world of clean living, about greenwashing, about all the things, about pet care. If you're interested in learning a bit more about vegan lifestyle, she's amazing. She just knows, It's good to have people like that in your life, the ones that just know. Okay. Look at that, that's one coat. Let's do my eyebrows. It's one coat. So I would say, because I only used, 1.5 pumps or one runny pump. What do you guys think? I think that's beautiful. It's a very sheer coat. It definitely did cover up most of the pigmentation. It didn't fully conceal it. I'm sure that if I put in another layer, it would. let's just, for experiment's sake, I'm just going to put a very light pump on a tiny little flat brush and just see if how buildable this foundation is. Yeah, very. You also get a bit more of that yellow that I spoke about. So with yellow foundations, I've always had this issue. You don't want to build them up too much because you start to look a little bit fake tanned, not in a good way. So there we go. Look at this beautifulness. I'm so excited about this glow, and the smell. It doesn't smell like paint. I was really worried it would smell like paint because it's full of essential oils. I was really worried you would end up with this, very strong fragrance, basically. Even though it's a natural fragrance, it doesn't matter. Even though it's completely, real. It's not fragrance, it's in the fake stuff that they put on the back of packages to conceal a million chemicals they don't want you to know about. No, it's proper smell that it comes with. But I was always really concerned that you'd have that really oily kind of painty kind of smell that came with it, and you don't. Just having a look at the ingredients, and there's nothing here that would, that would worry. I might just take a close-up picture of these ingredients and pop them up on the screen for you guys so that you can have a really good look and read for yourselves. But there you go, that's the foundation. This is probably a little bit more than I would normally wear. This is probably an evening out for me. I just like to sort of have that even texture. I don't like to necessarily cover up my skin too much. So that was the natural beige. See how the bottle looks a bit darker than my skin, but once it goes on, natural beige is absolutely perfect. And I usually go for like a light to medium beige. That's quite normal for me. Okay, now we're going for the medium one in the concealer. Barely a smell to this one as well. Very thick though. Let's just have a look here. Test it out first. Very good color. Again, a little bit yellowy. I'm a bit concerned. I was wondering whether I should go for the light, for that highlighter kind of thing. But as an everyday concealer, this is probably a bit more perfect. So I'm just going to do this in the corners. Same place I would normally put just my highlighting powder when I'm just wearing powders, but a little bit on the outside because we want to shape the face and highlight. I'm just going to cover up a few little blemishes and of course at the tip of the chin because for shaping. Okay, again I'm just going to blend with my brush today. So light stamps with sort of like a twisty motion. Okay, blends like an absolute dream. So I would say really great product to use with a brush. I think the foundation's a little bit on the runny side. I probably would be a little bit worried using it with using a sponge with that or a beauty blender with that. Only because I think it would just absorb a little bit too much into the sponge. But look at this coverage. Effortless. Absolutely effortless. And look, pretty much clean brush too at the end. So just making sure, look at that. Barely took up any product whatsoever. Clean. Lovely. You can, of course, go back and go in again. Obviously very buildable, as is the foundation. But I'm so happy with this coverage. This is gorgeous. Again, I'll make sure that I pop the ingredients up on the screen for you guys in large close-up so that you can have a look. And there you go. That's the Savvy Minerals by Young Living Concealer in medium 1, and of course the liquid foundation in natural beige. Look at these gorgeous products. They do not fail. They do not fail. Of course, no look is complete without a bit of powder. Now, just to sort of feel, I don't feel dry at all. This is my biggest concern with any makeup product, is that it's going to dry me out. And as you guys have heard before, I've spoken many times about how disgustingly dry my skin can get. I don't know why it does that. I take my omega-3s, I do all the things, and I have to say it has been better since I've been looking after my gut and putting all the work into preserving that moisture, but still I do have a tendency towards flakiness. So when something has a little bit of alcohol in or some sort of drying ingredient, I always panic. But you know what, so far it doesn't feel flaky. It feels really like a second skin. I don't think it'll crease and gather because it's not sticky. It's dewy though. It is dewy. You can definitely feel it on, especially the areas where I've put quite a bit on, like the cheeks and the under eyes. It definitely feels dewy, which is beautiful. That's what's giving me that sheen that you're seeing right now on the camera. But yeah, it doesn't feel like I'm wearing makeup at all, which is lovely. And I think it's done a really great job at evening the skin tone without making it look like I'm wearing a lot of makeup. Like, you can still very much see, you know, certain elements of my skin. As you saw when I put it on with the little brush, it can be definitely covered up if I wanted to, just build it up a little bit, but I want to. I quite like my skin as it is, but just to even it out. So I'm going to keep going with the whole brush thing. This is quite a small brush, but it's a nice fluffy bronzing brush. It's just a small one, and it's really great for getting into where it counts. So I'm going to just powder where I always powder, and also where areas where I think that we might get creasing. So just under the eye, of course. Oh, they just go together so well. I mean, it's not a shock because it's the same brand, but they really do just work really well together. I've put this powder on over other foundations before. It hasn't been bad. It hasn't disappointed. But it has sort of, I don't know how to put this, but this is a very natural product. And when you mix natural products with things like alcohol or, you know, petroleum-based products, I feel like it kind of, not separates, but it stands out. So I feel like the powder just sat on top of some of the foundations a little bit, which is wonderful because it also means it sits on top of your skin. It doesn't block your pores and all that sort of stuff. But it really took work to blend it in. And I definitely needed to use a beauty blender to really finish the job. Whereas here, look at that, it's just effortless. It's just melting in, blending well, and just giving it that mattifying kind of setting extra layer. And it's also giving me, again, that nice little sheen, which is so important to me. It's definitely not creating sort of a chalky finish, which this powder never does, but with some foundations that have chalkiness about them, just adding any powder on top or any product, even bronzer on top, will sometimes do that. So look at that. Amazing. Now, this is not for the budget conscious, I have to say, but this is definitely for the earth conscious and for the skin conscious and for the product conscious. This is a wonderful product, and if you just noticed, I use the tiniest amount. Normally foundation I would have to use 3 times the amount. Concealer, I'm always light on my concealer, but still that was probably half the amount that I would normally use, so 1.5 times. And my powder, I've had this for at least a year. I had to have to look it up to be sure, but it's been at least a year and it's only half gone, and I wear it every single day, at least a little bit, as you saw just now, but sometimes even more, and it just keeps coming. You know, I never have to dip more than 2 or 3 times sort of thing. So it really does last. I don't bake though. As you saw, I only use it as like this sort of top coat or this little concealer moment. I don't really use it heavily and then brush it away into the bin. That's ridiculous to me. I have dry skin, that doesn't suit anyway, but more the point that I just don't like baking. I just don't see any point in it, if I'm honest. Just taking any little fluffy brush, a little bit of bronzer. Okay, coming back with a nice fluffy bronzing brush and blending it out, or up. Just framing the face with what's left on the brush. Okay, I like to bronze just on this bit, but not on the actual middle of the chin. That's the part where we highlight it. So just a little bit just on the either side of the chin, just to sort of create like a triangle, very, very, very subtle triangle, a bit of a shadow, just especially in photos and stuff, and it makes the double chin a little bit less horrible. And just blending in. Okay, I'm just going to follow a little bit more up the nose in there. There we go, that's better. Voila, my base is done. All right, I will be back to show you the results, and then back again to show you what it's like after a whole day's wear. Okay, lovelies, what do you think? It's been a very much whole day. It has been about 14, nearly 15 hours since I did this makeup. As you can see, a little bit shiny through the middle, which is to be expected. It's been a really full-on day, really working hard today, doing cleaning, doing some driving around, running errands, helping a friend with some moving of things. Even managed to get a nap in there at some stage after heating up some dinner for the kids. Just a bit of shut-eye. So, and yet look at it, it's pretty much survived. I mean, all it would take is, look, this is the brush I used to apply the powder this morning, haven't dipped back in, and if I just sort of do this, it will matte it back down again. And that's quite common for my skin. It's quite dry, so it tends to overcompensate and go a bit shiny in its driest areas when left unattended. So there you go. But yeah, I'm not mad at it at all. I love how it's worn. It's been a very long day, as I mentioned. Yeah, I'm really, really happy. And I do hope you love the overall look as well. I've got some photos for you guys with some timestamps and different lighting and things like that, which you'll see on your screen. What do you guys think? Do you think that this is something that you will try? Is it important to you to go for a very clean product with no nasties in there? You know, is the price tag worth it? All the things, all the questions. I love this company, and I'm quite happy to pay the money for a product that I know is going to last and is going to treat my skin well. So for me, it was a bit of a no-brainer. But there is definitely some clean products out there to choose from nowadays, so it's definitely worth investigating. Of course, I've got the Double Down and the Aether Beauty on my eyes because I just love them, and I always reach for those palettes and loose pigments and things like that because they're just gorgeous and they clearly last forever and ever. I did this makeup straight after applying my base. If you watched my video on the weekend, you would have seen how I did this as well. So go ahead and click over to the eyes and MRI video if you'd like to see how this look came together. For more things and all things Alya's Creations, please do head over to Instagram and follow me there and have a look at all the other things going on. If you like this video, don't forget to tell me so by hitting the big like button, big thumbs up, leave me a comment, tell me what you think about different foundations and about this look and things like that. Love seeing your comments and hearing what you think. If you haven't yet subscribed, please go ahead and hit that big red button, turn it grey, grey is great, and make sure that you become a part of this creative family. I've got all kinds of things coming into the mix for this channel. Of course, we've got our eye informations, we've got our wraps, but of course there's going to be more coming up as things get interesting. I'll bring it all to you and make sure that you guys are all a part of the big creative journey. Wherever you are around the world, my lovelies, I hope you're having an amazing day, you're looking after yourselves, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. Bye.